Hello, listeners. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Charlize, and I have a special guest. She was a guest on the Art of Healing podcast several months ago. If you want to check the show notes and the video notes, I'll send you the link of our mindful eating podcast. Lisa and I are teaming together to do a series of 4 video/podcasts that we're going to make available, discussing some very important topics. Lisa, who is my dear friend, is a longtime educator. She expanded her passion from teaching children to helping adults become their best selves through personal growth and development. Lisa received her training to become a health coach from the Institute of Integrated Nutrition. She specializes in helping busy men and women lose unwanted pounds and look and feel their best. She lives in Rhode Island with her husband and her daughter and her beloved dog, Bella. She likes to keep active by practicing yoga, riding her bike, skiing, and taking walks. Lisa enjoys cooking meals for her families and friends. And I will say, which we'll talk about all that, you'll want to join her newsletter because she's always sending out some fun recipes. So join me in our first episode. And Lisa, hello, Lisa, how's it going?
Hello, Charlie. So good to be here. So good to talk to you.
Excellent. Well, Lisa has written a book, which I have found handy and I have returned to time after time in my own health journey. So, a lot of the stuff we're going to be referencing is going to be in her book, and we'll include in the show notes where to find a copy of her book. So, today I wanted to talk about something you brought up in your book. Quote, you, Lisa, nourish to flourish. In chapter 6 of your book, you tell us to nourish to flourish. Can you describe a little bit what that means to nourish and flourish?
Sure, I'll be happy to. Well, let's think back. Long before we were on this earth, we didn't have to think about eating foods to, nourish us because we were automatically, we knew that we needed foods to survive. So, and to get energy to do, to continue our day and to do our work. But over the years, these foods, even in the last couple of decades, have have been depleted of the nutrients that our body needs to work the way we want them to work. We want the energy throughout the day. We want our minds to be clear. We want to be able to sleep at night well. So these, the meaning of, eating nutritious foods has become a job, whereas years ago, it was not a job because we naturally more people ate plants, obviously, make plant-based foods, and they came from gardens. It was unheard of to have all these boxed or packaged foods. So we now have to pay attention and, put effort into what we are eating for the results we want. We want energy, right? Who doesn't want to feel great during the day while you're working, while you're playing, while you are socializing? You want to, who doesn't want to look good? You don't want to, food affects our skin. Your skin can dry out if you're not eating the foods right for you. And we talk about that. I brought that up in my book too. We're all different. So what your best friend's diet is, and they're talking about it, may not work for you. So we have to keep that in consideration too. So as far as nurturing foods, it's pretty, I think we all know, well, it's common to know what is good to eat and what's not good to eat. Basically, you're not going to, eat cake for lunch or potato chips for dinner. But a lot of times foods, they can be disguised, meaning like they might be packaged and they'll say, oh, all natural energy, long lasting energy bars, like the granola bars make you think, oh yeah, this is great. I'll eat this for lunch because I'm so busy. And then a couple hours later, you look, you find that the hidden ingredient was sugar, and now you feel this lull at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's not working with you; it's working against you. So like food is so. What do we use food for? We use it for celebration. It's our culture, right? We express culture through different dishes that we make, and we share with family and friends. It's also used for celebration gatherings, a lot of cookouts in the summer where we're not, maybe it's easily, you can easily go off track, maybe not eating the best or nutritious food for yourself because you're talking and you're not going to naturally have a list of foods to eat when you just want to have a good time, which that's an important piece of health too, is to enjoy yourself. So, food is not, it's a job. It's a way of, we have to really pay attention because there's so much distraction out there. So
Yeah,
basically, yeah.
I like the way you're saying that because, and I'm just even thinking about like my past week of seeing patients and how often this comes up as far as nutrition. And the way you're saying it is just open your heart, think about it, put your mind to your foods. Don't just sort of grab stuff. And I have to tell the listeners and the watchers that when I read Lisa's book, the way that she recommends that you approach this is so subtle and it's so gentle that you start doing it, you don't even notice you're doing it. Like they're like, oh, okay, and you gently start changing what you're doing. You see some nice little changes, but you're asking us to approach our food with some thought, some mindfulness. It's not just grab it, ram it in your mouth. Yeah. So
So that kind of leads me into, okay, so I was kind of talking about like anyone can Google what to eat. We can look on Pinterest for healthy meals. We're all doing this kind of stuff, right?
yes,
Because we want to feel good. Ultimately, no one wants to not feel good at the end of the day. We want to nourish our bodies so they work for us. So I think now we can think about not what we eat, but how we eat it. That's a big factor that you're not going to see in the latest diets, and there are hundreds of different diets out there. But knowing how to eat, and what you were talking about, Charlize, the mindful eating, the slowing down of the meal, that definitely affects how you begin to intuitively know what's good for you and what's not good for you.
Describe for us mindful eating, if you don't mind, because and part of what inspired me to want to do this with you again was that topic ended up being extremely popular for the followers, was mindful eating. Why don't you describe, in case someone didn't hear that podcast, what mindful eating is?
Sure. As I spoke about, it's not the what you're eating, it's the how you're eating it. So it actually affects your digestion differently, and it gives your body a chance to catch up to your brain and say, hey, wait a minute, I'm full and I don't need that extra bite. So it helps with portion control. That's the how. But going through the motions, there are certain, steps into this process. So the first, I like to even, it's even before your food is eaten. I think it starts with even like cooking, like I talk about home cooking. When you're, there's a difference between even, and I see a lot more restaurants are providing like farm fresh vegetables, and I like to see that, or, locally fresh produce, or a local catch of the day, maybe a local fish or whatever you are, depending upon where you're living. But yeah, that's, wonderful. But, there's also another vitamin in food, and we call that vitamin L, which is vitamin like love, meaning when you're preparing food for yourself and your family, for friends, you're enjoying it. You're putting your heart and soul into it. And even if you don't cook, you're carefully choosing what foods will be pleasing to your dinner party. Or it could be just yourself too. And it could be just one other person. It doesn't need to be like this huge gathering. So I just, when you're cooking yourself, you're thinking, well, I'm not going to, you're thinking of ways to make it healthier. So you're looking for those brighter vegetables. You're not putting so much sugar or salt on the meal, because you want it to be healthy, because you love the people who you're cooking for. So that vitamin L is, not to say I love to go out to eat, but 5 days a week might not be great for my waistline, because I've also worked as a waitress in a restaurant. And if you've gone out to eat, I don't know, the cooks are they're under a lot of stress. And so the waitresses actually. And when you're under that stress, you're not, it's hard. They love what they do, I'm sure. And they're wonderful, and they produce such wonderful meals, but they're putting out like 50 meals, 100 meals. And it's hard to, produce a meal that you would produce yourself just for your family. It's just the numbers don't match up. So just that, before even starting the mindful eating, it's preparing the meal, and it's also preparing the table. The simple little things like a vase of flowers, or it doesn't have to be a vase. It could be one flower. I think sometimes one flower is so pretty, just one rose, but
Uh-huh.
it's your time. It's for me, when I come home from work, I love sitting by the table, and I just love, it's like it's a break, and it forces you to to sit down and do something for yourself, to enjoy a good meal. I've heard people who changed their their dishes, just so they won't be bored. They like to, and it's pretty common to
It's
change
pretty.
coffee mugs, right?
Yeah. So
Just to make it fun.
that brings me to my next question topic with you, which is self-love. Self-love. This is a topic that I'm finding a strong need to bring up quite a bit with my patients, with my clients. Um, Self-love, first off, how you define self-love. I'd love to know that. And then I want you to use your experience, your health coaching experience, to tell us how we can love ourselves with our food. In particular, how you feel that's different from indulging ourselves with food.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, you asked the question about self-love. Yeah, there's expressing self-love is through, you have to actually do it intentionally, meaning that you have to, when you're caring for yourself, it could be something that you love, like a lot of women love to have their nails done. So you can go get your nails done because you want them to look, you going to work that week, and you use our hands a lot. So you need your hands to look nice. So you want to get your nails done. And then you just kind of rush through, you're listening to the people on the left of you, to the right of you, and they're complaining about their family, and they're complaining about their kids. And it doesn't become that's not what self-care is. Self-care is, you intentionally know that you're getting your nails done, and it's your time. It's not selfish. It's your time to replenish you and who you are, and to be pampered, and just to say, yep, I am doing this for me so that I can go on and do my job for others. Now, a lot of times as women, and men too, we sometimes hold back on this because we feel like we're being selfish. Oh, I got to cut the grass. Oh, I have to vacuum the house. No. When you fill your cup up, then your cup spills over, and you can help other people. So we have to keep, that's a mindset, and it happens with intention. Self-love happens with intention. And if you are, caught for time, a lot of, even in the morning, a morning shower, some people just go, you can just go through it, and it's a job, or it can be a form of self-love. It doesn't have to be an obvious act like getting a massage, or just being by yourself for an hour. It can be something like incorporating it into your day. And it can be something that you're already doing. But now when you change the intention to this is an act I'm doing for myself, then it becomes nourishing. And that's where you're nourishing. That's where other things, actions besides food become nourishing to your body.
And one of the things I'm just so happy that you could join me in doing this is that I hope that the listeners will notice that you are a health coach and your main focus is to help lose weight. Not once have you mentioned lack. You have not created any dearth. Nothing in what you've told us has been taken away anything. All I've heard you say so far is add, add. So I hope the listeners pick up on that. That's a concept I'm constantly trying to communicate. I'm just so happy we're teaming up because this whole time you have yet to say anything that we must go without. I hear you offering me all kinds of things that I need to add to my life. So
absolutely. I'm glad you heard that. That's what makes it fun.
Yep.
You don't want things taken away.
Yeah.
That's why diets, that's why they do work and then they don't work, because what happens is, how long can you be restricted of your favorite foods? How long can you be restricted of not having such an, being exhausted in doing such, exercises every day? That lasts for so long. And then sooner or later, when there is a interruption in your life, it's going to fall apart. And then what happens is it's the cycle of, okay, now we feel bad about ourselves because we were unsuccessful. No, you were successful. We're just human and we have emotions and things come up because we live in this world that's always changing. So so it's a more of, okay, looking at like, what am I doing right? What's going well? How am I doing better than I did last week? Last week, I drank 2 glasses of water. Now I'm enjoying drinking 4 glasses of water this week. And maybe, next week incorporate 6 glasses of water into my day. It's the small changes that make it, it's the small changes that make the big change that we can notice. So it's not an overnight magic pill you can take. It's these little
yes it's thank you. And I'm telling you, and what I'm learning in this journey, and it's just so good to have you share this wisdom with the listeners, is that it takes time, it's patience, it's attitude of abundance. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you're conveying this. My last question for you, in your book, in chapter 12, practice gratitude with attitude. So please explain to us how gratitude helps you, how gratitude helps your clients. Can you tell us some about that?
Okay. This definitely is a part of your health. And it also is it also attributes to, losing weight. Yes, it does. I know it's like, how can you, if you say thank you, how can you lose weight? Well, what's happening is it's a law of attraction in action. What you set your mind to, it becomes greater, or it attracts more. So if you're getting discouraged, as I said earlier, with your diet, what's going to happen is, you're just going to get more and more down on yourself. But if you have this attitude of gratefulness, what's going to happen is, all of a sudden, you'll be looking on your email, and all of a sudden a wonderful recipe will pop up. Like you'll start attracting
like the recipes in your emails.
Yes. All of a sudden you're like, where did that come from? Well, you attracted it.
Your peach smoothie recipe.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. And you could
I tried it. And I was like, oh, this is so lovely.
To me, it's a dessert. I have had fun this summer with smoothies because they taste great and they're so nutritious. So and they're so colorful. Yeah, they're so that, how can you go wrong? And it's great for kids too, because of the colorful, the bright oranges, even the greens. They're like
Yeah.
you can like really sneak in some, which I've done, sneak in some spinach and kale in a
Mhm.
smoothie and no one knows. That's a good tip.
Nice. So nice.
No one knows. But
Thank you.
I know what changed from me myself personally is having a gratitude journal. Not that I get to it every day, and that's okay because we're forgiving. But just getting getting even on the days that aren't so great, just finding 5 things that happened in that day, because I actually write in mine at night typically. So I'm finding 5 things in the day that I'm grateful for. And it could be so simple. It could be my dog came running over to me when I entered the door. It could be, wow, I got this. My coffee was so good this morning at the drive-through. It could be something, very simple that you do all the time, but taking the time to say thank you. And it fills you up, number one. And it's
Mhm.
also magically over time, you're going to see how you're attracting this energy of 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 where you want to, who you want to be and how you see yourself living. You're attracting these good recipes. You're attracting um, these books into your life that are going to help you. You're attracting friends into your life that are I'm going to support you on this journey. So it all, it could be, and sometimes you're like, oh, I have, kids running around, or I'm taking care of an aging parent, or I'm doing both, kids and
Mhm.
parent.
Mhm.
I don't have time. Well, just saying thank you can do the trick. Sometimes I can't get to my journal. I had a
Mhm.
full day, lying in bed, and I'm like, oh, I didn't get to my journal. But you know what? I can sit there. It is more powerful when you write something down. However, I can just sit back and just, say thank you. And in my mind, think of some things during the day that went well.
So, Lisa, thank you so much for joining me. This has been awesome. I'm gonna go find some vitamin L to put in some vitamin L. But before we part ways, can you let the listeners and the watchers know what you have going on? If you'd like to let them know how to find you, any offerings that you have, and listeners, I'll make sure you guys have something visual in the show notes.
Okay, fantastic. Yes, I am Facebook. I have a Facebook coaching by Lisa, and I know you're going to also put this
You'll
down
have it.
in the
Mhm,
notes you had said.
mhm.
And also my name, my handle on IG, on Instagram would just be simply Lisa Earhart. And lastly, I have from my wonderful listeners, or I should say your wonderful listeners,
Your listeners, your listeners.
your our listeners, is I did, I thought it would be helpful to have a handout that was created just for these listeners. I think it would be helpful. They can download it on your podcast. It's a
Mhm.
freebie. It's 8 tips to lose those unwanted pounds. So some of them you may be doing, some of you might be new, but it's a good guide and support, and knowing that we believe that it can be done.
Lisa, thank you so much. It's so awesome. It's so awesome to see your face. So awesome we're doing this. And listeners and watchers, I'll make sure you have all of her information. I think it's going to be really valuable. And then also, her book is for sale on Amazon as well. So don't forget that, but I'll have all of that in the show notes. Thank you all so much for joining us for the Art of Healing podcast special video and podcast episode. We will see you next week. Bye bye.